Hello and welcome to the Unfiltered Tea, a show where we say all the things you wish the newscasters said, unscripted and unfiltered. We talk about news, politics, and entertainment, so pull up your soapbox, pour yourself a cuppa, and let's go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thursday show. I am in a race against time at the moment. It is currently 7 o'clock in the evening, and I am supposed to post this at 8. So we're going to see how quickly I can zoom through the insanity of things, of the many show notes that I have put down for tonight's episode. So let's see. Well, I had every intention to keep it nice and light and, well, light-ish, and maybe have some video and go over the Daubert, however you say it, hearing in the Karen Reid trial. We're going to maybe talk about that. Maybe I was going to crack a few jokes and things like that were going to happen. And then Los Angeles caught on fire. That's not good. If you happen to be in the area, first of all, why are you watching this? Second of all, stay safe. To all of my friends out in that whole area of Southern California, please stay safe. If somebody tells you to evacuate. Fire is not something that is to be messed with, especially not with these winds. It's painful to watch. So safety is first. Safety is key. And everybody else, and then everybody in the mid-Atlantic that's dealing with winter that we are used to and you are not, also stay safe. Listen when people tell you to go somewhere else for safety. Listen to them in both situations, and my heart goes out to anybody and everybody that has been affected by that. So that happened, and is still happening. It's wild. And then Trump had to get to Trumpin', and Zuck had to get to Zuckin', and here we are. So we're warning. This little lady over here is going to speak fluent trucker sailor this evening. If you aren't comfortable with expletives, I don't have a beat button at the moment, so you're going to hear them. Unless you have something magical that means that you can censor me. Otherwise, yeah, I'm gonna swear. So if you're sensitive to swears, I would say maybe pick up on another video where I'm not as inclined to swear, but I swear a lot. So, this is your warning. If you don't like expletives, I, as a creator, probably am not going to be your jam. So anyway, that is, and then of course today was the funeral for Jimmy Carter, who passed away at the still all too young age of 100. Jimmy Carter and Betty White, for me, fall into the category of they could have lived for 150 years, and I would still feel like it was maybe too soon. So anyway, I have yet to watch Jimmy Carter's funeral because today was a big day. I do have a job, and I was doing the job today. So I have not caught up on the funeral yet because I actually do want to watch it, except every time I try and watch pieces of it, I get all misty because, I do that when I'm seeing these things. So, but what we might do is all together look at a piece of that. So where am I at? Is that everything for now? Possibly. I think it might be. We're going to hope that the audio is good. I did run a little test, but technology is, I'm just not going to trust things today. So that's where we're at. The brief overview of what we're going to cover. We are going to start with some things that the incoming president has said. We're going to start there. And then we're gonna move on. I'm gonna try and keep it short because I have, approximately 48 minutes in which to finish this, upload it, and get it to you. So we're just gonna see how quickly I can do this. Am I good at zooming? Sometimes. Sometimes I am. Right now, what I am going to do is find my swoop. That's what we're looking at. Oh, right. I have to remember timestamps. Challenge accepted. Okay. Let me locate everything I need to locate. We're going to swoop and we are going to get right into it. Oh, do all of the things. If you're here again and you're joining us for the second time, third time, fourth time, I don't know. Anyway, if you're new here and you haven't done the things yet, do all the things for the algorithm. It would be awesome. No, I'm going to swoop because my brain is, I am buffering and we're going to need to take a minute. Okay. We've done the swoop. All right. So we're going to start with this whole press conference that Trump had the other day. I'm going to play a little piece of it, and only a little piece of it, because if I try to watch the whole thing, I will throw something, probably, or I will hit my head on the desk so hard that I will leave a mark, and I don't really feel like doing that. That's not worth it. So, but we are going to start with this because there's the Panama thing and there is the Greenland thing. And I have issues. This isn't even political. If you are coming into the office of President of the United States and you don't understand how some fundamental things work as far as what your job is, that's where I have issues, because it is a job that you're supposed to do, and I don't really care about personality. Oh, right. And then I was reading Heather Cox Richardson today. If you like facts and you like history and you like somebody explaining the last 24 hours of the news cycle to you in a very clear and concise way, follow her. Highly recommend. There was a call between Trump and Justice Alito, and that's a conflict of interest in every way I can think of, since Trump has business before the Supreme Court coming up. So yeah, there's that. I'm not going to do a deep dive into that today because I still can't quite wrap my brain around how that's just an aside, but welcome to today's world. So we're going to do that. And then I think the deeper dive. Nope, Aurora, I'm jumping ahead. Doing the thing. Okay. I have no idea how excellent the audio is on this. I have things pretty well where they need to be. But yeah, we're gonna see. Okay. So we're gonna listen to, I believe it is this question. We're gonna hope that I found the right timestamp. And we're gonna start here.
Go ahead, please.
First, thank you. Wanted to touch on the world on fire.
Give me a second. We're gonna put on that because that's gonna help. We're gonna put on the captions because that is gonna help, because I don't know about you, but yeah, I can't hear what the reporter is saying as well as I would like. So it started with, you wanted to touch on the world on fire. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
You mentioned, but let's start, if we could, with your references to Greenland and the Panama Canal. So, can you assure the world that as you try to get control of these areas, you are not going to use military or economic coercion?
No.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your plan is? Are you going to negotiate a new treaty? Are you going to ask the Canadians to hold a vote? What is the
Yeah,
strategy?
I can't assure you, you're talking about Panama and Greenland. No, I can't assure you on either of those two. But I can say this, we need them for economic security. The Panama Canal was built for.
Okay, I'm going to pause here because this is where it's like, okay, we need them for economic security. You can't just go take a country or a piece of a country. You can't just, you can't, I know we're Americans. I know we did it over here. I know we come from colonizers. I know historically there's a group of people that have this bad habit of just arriving somewhere, deciding it's theirs, and then just stealing things. And I understand that you're friends with people who also do that, but as a general rule, post World War II, we've tried really hard to avoid the whole walking into someone else's country and saying it's mine now thing. That's what we've tried to do. And that is incredibly snarky, but okay, I'm gonna give him a little bit more. We've got about 3 more minutes of this, and then we're gonna shut it off, and then we're gonna do a swoop, and then we're gonna move on to the next thing and the bigger discussion that we're gonna have, because I cannot with some of this, but I had to put that out there. This isn't a thing that we can do, and it's not a tiny thing. I've seen a lot of reporting that goes all over the place on this. It's not a brush aside that the incoming leader of this country has basically just said, I don't know if we're not going to, I can't promise we won't invade or place heavy sanctions to make this happen. That's something that should make everybody's ears perk up. Nothing has happened yet. I'm not planning on anything happening right away, but we should be paying attention. That's the only thing.
Our military. I'm not going to commit to that now. It might be that you'll have to do something. Look, the Panama Canal is vital to our country. It's being operated by China. And we gave the Panama Canal to Panama. We didn't give it to China. And they've abused it. They've abused that gift. It should have never been made, by the way. Giving the Panama Canal is why Jimmy Carter lost the election, in my opinion, more so maybe than the hostages. The hostages were a big deal.
Now, I'm going to interject because it is not lost on me that on the day he gave this, I'm pretty sure that the entire news cycle was Jimmy Carter at the time. So it's a unique choice to aim at President Carter while the nation is prepping for his state funeral. Just.
But if you remember, and nobody wants to talk about the Panama Canal now because it's inappropriate, I guess, but because it's a bad part of the Carter legacy. But he was a good man. Look, he was a good man. I knew him a little bit, and he was a very fine person. But that was a big mistake, giving the Panama.
Okay, we're gonna give Trump the win. We're gonna give Trump the win with Jimmy Carter was a very fine person. Yes, he was. That man. I didn't know him. I did not know him. I know that he worked his entire life continuing to earn his presidential pension. And that's a pretty impressive thing. I don't know. I don't care what side of the aisle. I'm not sure that I can think of another president who worked so hard for people, just people in general, than President Carter. And that's an aside, and I should probably swoop. But anyway, I'm gonna leave it with the win. with the praise of Carter because that was fair. And at some point, if you want me to go through the whole presser or one of the 8 million that incoming President Trump is going to do, because boy, does that man love being in front of the camera. So we can do that. We can go over that. That is, don't mind me. I am trying to sort out what we are going to do. Okay, I need to swoop, and then we need to pull up Zuck, because that is going to be a much bigger conversation. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Swoop, swoop. Okay, so what we are going to try and do, we're going to see if I can do this. Have I done this from this platform before? No. Am I going to try real hard to do this right? Ugh.
Happened over the last several years. There's been widespread.
Shush. Why you got, okay. I'm pausing for a minute because this isn't starting at the beginning. I can't get it back to the beginning. I can't get it to the end. I don't know why it is like this, but Zuck, my man, if you want people like me to get stuff like this out there, you know what? You gotta maybe if I do this, let's try something. Let's see if this works. There we go. No, yeah, there we go. All right. I got it back to the beginning. I figured it out. Me and technology, we are not always friends. Can I embiggen this? That is the question. Nope, that's not what we want to do. Can I make this bigger? Oh, there we go. There we go. Look at me, guys. I'm figuring out all sorts of technology stuff. Now we're just going to hope that this actually comes through sound-wise. It is for me. So we're going to see. Okay. Yes, I did swoop. Okay. Let's see what Zuck has in store for
I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started
translation. Fact checking is going away. Facts are our friends. This is a really good reminder that facts, verifiable facts, are our friends.
I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance.
Let's be real. All of us who are over the age of 35 realize he did not build Facebook to give people a voice. He built Facebook as a hot or not kind of tool. It's a nice rewriting, but dude.
Of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Mm-hmm. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more.
There's a difference between censorship and letting anyone say anything as though it was a fact. Just
a lot of this is clearly political.
No,
but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to monitor.
I'm not sure how seriously it's actually being taken. I think it should be taken more seriously, but
great content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes.
They do. Overly simple systems make mistakes too.
Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes.
Yeah, because that's never going to be a problem. Independent fact checkers to determine if, say, you can eat rocks or not is a good thing. Because have you met the internet, sir? Like, you are one of the internet biggies. Have you met the internet? It is a wonderful place. It is also a place where some of the things that I've seen people advise other humans to do, which is just verifiably a bad idea. Come on. Getting rid of independent fact checkers is not, that's not ending censorship. That's deciding that feelings are facts, which they aren't. So I am anti-censorship. You can have whatever opinion you want. You can have your opinions. Opinions aren't facts either. So, and I'm very much more speech, not less speech. It's a bigger conversation as a content creator. The fact that I have to rethink how I would normally say things so that when we're talking about something, we can't just call out what it is we're talking about because of things. That is a different conversation that we need to have. That's not a conversation about facts or fact checking. So I have an issue that we're changing fact checkers to majority rules. Like that's a problem for me. Okay. I'm gonna sit on my soapbox for a second.
Similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy.
Correct.
We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased.
Facts aren't political. Okay. If facts, verifiable facts, determined by independent fact checkers, seem to have a political bias, it is time to look at the other side and where the information is coming from. Because facts aren't political. Facts aren't political. That just a verifiable fact is not a political thing.
And have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far.
Well, but it's okay. I would agree with him up to a point, except I want to know what he thinks is mainstream ideas, because if we're talking about, say, J.K. Rowling's views on trans people, which are her opinion and aren't based in any sort of scientific information at all, And they don't match all of the sciences, but more people believe what her opinions are as opposed to what the scientific community has determined, and a broad-based scientific community. Like, I, those don't, those, they, two things can be true at the same time. But again, has it gone too far? Or are we bringing taboos back that maybe should be brought back? Like, that is a legitimate question. I don't have the answer. I would be interested in having that conversation on a broader and bigger scale. Maybe we'll try on Sunday with a live. Mandy may join us.
So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action.
So, okay, I'm gonna hop in again because I've known a lot of content creators who have had scammers snag their likeness, or even just friends and family where scammers have made their own Facebook page or what have you, and when it's been reported by, I don't know, everyone in their circle, the response that Meta has seemed to have is, too bad, so sad, not our problem. Oh, by the way, but your content, you're coming down because they reported you first. It doesn't matter that you've got 50 over here and one over here. I've seen that happen so many times. So many times. So if you can improve that, that would be great.
The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms. We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff.
Yep.
We'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down.
I don't buy that, though.
Fourth,
I'll believe it
we're
when
bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed. So we stopped recommending these.
As a general rule, I think everybody asked for less of that because it just got so mean and nasty and people couldn't have a conversation anymore. And when people couldn't have a civil conversation, they stayed engaged longer, and so that was kind of, and then yeah. So I'm just saying, like,
posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive.
Oh, come on. Friendly and positive doesn't get clicks. That's the thing. Now, it does on a lot of the community platforms that I am a part of. It does in a lot of YouTube communities. It does when a content creator builds a great community, then yes, the engagement is positive. It's what I'm trying to do over here, is being able to have those discussions and those debates and have it be positive and civil and friendly. I want that back. I don't believe him when he says he does. But that's a bigger conversation. So with this, I said a lot on this, and this was probably better off to have as a live with more active conversation. But what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on free speech, the limits there are? Because he gets into other nations and what they do and that kind of thing. That is a much bigger conversation for which I will need somebody who is better versed than I am in these specific laws of our nation regarding some of these things to actually get into. But let me know in the comments down below, like, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think this is a good move from, I mean, we see that I think this is a bad move, and I am very nervous about it. But I am curious as to what all of your thoughts are. And do you think this is a good move, and why? Because I know where I stand, but I'm also very open-minded on that, and I kind of want to know what we're thinking, because at the end of the day, for me, I am pro free. I am more speech is good, less speech is bad, and a lot of my frustrations in the last election cycle and with the mainstream media and legacy media has been, like, one headline goes out and then 50 other places parrot it, and then the conversation is just skewed. And we talk about this a lot with court cases and stuff like that. When I'm listening to or watching trials, and then I'm seeing the reporting coming out of trials, and I'm seeing that there's a big disconnect, that is ultimately a lot of this conversation. So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are on all of that. So that's a thing. I can't with the bros anymore. There seems to be a certain amount of money that just flips your brain into something, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's across the board. I have so many questions about that. Okay. Let me do one more swoop and a time check, and we will see where we are at, because again, I'm in a race against time. No. Okay. So I think what I might do is actually, I want to play a little bit of what we have here, because the beginning of this is actually quite delightful, and I want to play a little of it, and I want to do something to honor somebody who I think is still an underrated president of the United States. There will be a point where maybe we will take a look at this, because I'm the queen of commentary when it comes to things like this. So let me know if you want to do the full deal or part of the deal with my commentary on this, a running with my mouth a running. But in general, President Carter, and there's so many fascinating things about Rosalind Carter as well, and I would really like to dive into a lot of the work that she did, and do some of that. So we will find a time, but let me know what you're thinking. I think what we will do is we will listen to a little bit of this eulogy, and then I am gonna zoom right out of here for tonight. Sunday, I think we're aiming for 5:30 or 6-ish for live, and Mandy might join us. Mandy might join me and be here. And so if you have thoughts as to which of the legal cases and stuff that we should go over, there's that. I'll cover all this again in a quick minute, but let us listen a little bit to, oh wait, Aurora, share your screen. Share your screen, pull this up. There we go. That's the one. All right, we are going to listen to just a smidgen of this. I'm going to swoop. I'm going to the thing while my brain does the buffering thing again. Because if I try to zoom from here, I'm going to hit the wrong button.
Before I start, the Carter children, my wife and I were sitting several rows behind you, and we were praying for you, and I was humbly reminded that it was 18 years ago, almost to the day, that our family sat in that very row and supporting my mom, and it was your dad and his great faith that supported my mom and gave her hope that week. He traveled with us for several days, and we were blessed. So thank you. God did a good thing when he made your dad. Jack, Chip, Jeff, Amy, Mr. President, Madam Vice President, former presidents, first ladies, members of the House of Representatives and the Senate, justices of the Supreme Court, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. In the twilight of my dad's life, Dad and President Carter spoke by phone, and Dad asked President Carter if he would do a eulogy at Dad's funeral. President Carter graciously agreed, and then he also asked if Dad would deliver a eulogy at
I'm sure that was a
President
great
Carter's
conversation.
funeral. Now, Dad was thrilled to agree. After that call, as you can imagine, both of them got off the phone and had a pretty good chuckle, considering which one of them would return in person to deliver that second eulogy. As you know, Dad died in 2006, and President Carter's eulogy continues to bring comfort, smile, laughter, joy, pride to our family, and thus on
Oh, really? We're going to do the spinning wheel of death? Okay, fine.
behalf of my dad, it's an honor to share Dad's eulogy, his old friend.
I'm going to let it go for a little bit.
I can just see my dad getting his yellow legal pad out with his pen and writing this for his beloved friend.
That is just a note that we're going to end on that, because that is a fantastic note. That just the image of President Ford getting out a big legal pad, and the ongoing back and forth, I'm sure, that ensued for years, of who was going to deliver the eulogy first. It's just, and for me personally, it feels like, it's funny. President Carter, Justice Ginsburg, so much pomp and circumstance. And they both knew it was going to be like that. And neither one of them was a pomp and circumstance kind of person. So I'm going to choose to end with that little anecdote, because that feels more honorary to President Carter for me. So let me know if you want me to go through the whole funeral, pick out the highlights. At some point very soon, we are going to do a President Carter Day, or a Carter administration day, and include Rosalind as well. But the time is fast approaching that I need to get this to you so that you can see it. So we're going to leave on that lovely note. I'm going to do one more swoop. We'll talk a little bit about Sunday, and yes, swoop-a-doop. Okay, so that was a zoom through a few big things, not a total. Anyway, we got that. We got that done. If you, as usual, if you've made it this far and you haven't done any of the YouTubey things or the subscribey things or anything like that, please show the algorithm a little love. Where can you find me? The Aurora HY. That's where that there. That's where you can find me. That's where I'm posting lots of stuff. The Patreon is live now. I'll try and make sure that's in the description. Sunday, it's Sunday fun day. We are gonna relax. We're gonna take a dip in the snark tank probably. Because especially if Mandy can join us, we will see what she wants to talk about. Us, the royal we, me. Anyway, usually the fun game is me trying to do the TLDR of all of the court cases that I'm following, which Mandy is following, but only through me. So that's usually entertaining, especially when I say things that I think everybody has seen, but I'm talking to Mandy and she hasn't. So we're gonna hope, and otherwise, I hope you'll join me in the chat. Like I said, I think that we're aiming for 5:36 Eastern. But follow, check out the threads, the Instagram. Yeah. Nope, I buffered. Sorry. Anyway, check out those places because that's usually where I will put it up for you. If any of the court cases that we've been discussing are things that you're like, oh, you gotta fill Mandy in on this, please go ahead and drop it in the comments. I will take a look. If you have something that you are like, no, you got to check this out, news item, politics, something, definitely drop those in the comments. And with that, I got to get this over to YouTube. We got to get this all taken care of. And I think if I leave my dog for any more time today, she might just morph into something else. So I got to go take care of her. I buffered again. See, it's time. It's time for me to just run the outro. Before I run the outro, I'm going to say cheers to President Carter. May you haunt all of the right people. And to you guys, my lovelies, stay safe, stay well, and I will see you on the next one. Thanks for joining us for another episode of The Unfiltered Tea. Don't forget to hit that like button. If you have a story you want our unfiltered take on, go ahead and drop it in the comments, and we will see you next time.